Well, all right, rugby fans. Hey, that was awesome. Like we had like a kickoff, which we've never ever had before, so that's kind of cool. Hey, this is a very very special edition of the Austin Rugby Podcast. I am your host Dustin Zare, as always, and back for the second week in a row. Alex, welcome back, man. Glad to have you.
Hey, nice to be here again. Thanks for not being completely appalled by my performance last time out.
Only partially appalled, so that was okay. So just a little bit, so we weren't too bad. But hey, really glad that you could jump on here today. It's again an exciting week. Last week we came out of Seattle with a win, nail biting win. Albeit that, but it was a great win nonetheless. Again, we got the bonus point again, 4 points. We continued the playoff hunt, and we said, what do we have to do this week to really ramp things up as we get down to the last couple matches? For us, it's 3 matches left, 4 weeks left in the regular season. We get a bye week, which is probably well needed for some of the lads right now because man, they're going to be traveling a lot, and getting a bye week and coming back home will be good. But we said we got to have somebody really important on. Sorry, Alex, it wasn't necessarily you. Somebody, I know. I'm sorry, man. But we said, hey, let's reach out and see if he'll come and join us. And of course he would. And that's none other than AG's head coach, Mr. Sam Harris. Sam, what's going on, man? Good to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Always a pleasure to come on the podcast. And good to meet you, Alex. Welcome aboard. Welcome to the AG family.
Thanks very much. Good to be here.
Now, Sam, as people are probably watching and looking right now, they're noticing something that's not exactly Austin weather. I see a lot of palm trees. People have been following social media. There's been a lot of beaches. Which again, no beaches in Austin. Where do you find yourself on this beautiful Thursday afternoon?
Yeah, we're in a town of Oxnard in California, right near Ventura.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so we've come here with the 6-day turnaround from the Seattle game into the San Diego game. We just looked at all the possibilities and the travel toll if we went from Seattle to Austin and then back on a plane a few days later into San Diego. We thought this was the better option, and thankfully always want to show some gratitude that we have an owner that's happy to sign off on something like that. And it's been great for players. They've really enjoyed it.
That's fantastic. I mean, obviously, professional sports and traveling, the U.S. being such a big country and traveling from East Coast to West Coast and even central to, central up to Seattle, it's still a 3.5 hour, 4 hour plane ride. That's if you get a direct flight to Seattle, to come all the way back, on a Monday and then turn around and fly all the way back out to San Diego on, would probably be Thursday or so for you all. I probably a little bit easier on the bodies, just to make the trip from Seattle down to California and kind of have a bit of time away and a bit of time to connect with the lads. Yeah.
It just made a lot more sense than the other option that I spoke about. And we've come to a hotel where the Marriott, where the Cowboys do their summer camps every year, the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh yeah,
Texas camp there. And it's just kind of purpose built for something like we're trying to achieve. And it's been great being here. It's great getting a little bit more access to players, a bit more time away from just the regular everyday requirements that they have, and so that they can kind of focus in on the task at hand a little bit more, whilst at the same time they've got opportunities to let their hair down a little bit in some occasions, whether it be going for a swim after training or going to places they've never been to before.
Yeah, well that's awesome, and it's good to hear that the guys are getting that chance to just connect a little bit more, right? I think you and I talked about this all the way back, and I think maybe October, and of building that family community and building that cohesion. I think that we had actually missed here the first couple of seasons, was like that true family feeling. And first and foremost, we're not finished with the season yet. There's still a lot more to go, and we're going to talk about that here. But I do want to say, like, seeing you and the rest of the team and what you all have built, not just with bringing your immediate families over here with you and Mark and their and your families, but also building that community around the team in general, I think has just been absolutely outstanding. And I appreciate what you guys have done. as my camera cuts out there because, live feeds and stuff. But what you guys have done in that community mentality that you've brought to the rest of the AG family and the growing AG family now here in Austin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for that. That's very kind words. And after our last game against Toronto at home, it was a great crowd.
Man, that was awesome.
Best crowd we've had. It was really good. And as you know, we had the signing session after the game, and so the fans had access to the players on the field and access to me. And the amount of people that came up to me and thanked me and us for what we've done and what we've created. And we're not finished, but a certain level of success the team wasn't used to. So
yeah,
it's really nice that people have recognised that and are grateful for it. And hopefully we've kind of laid a good platform, for this season and for seasons to come.
Yeah, well, I think it's fantastic to see that. I want to talk a little bit about future stuff, but obviously I want to touch base real quick. Obviously, this last week we did go up to Seattle. Seattle, always a tough place to play. The seawall, as they call it up there, kind of going up against the burnt orange wall, as people are starting to call us. Some of the walls kind of got broken through a little bit there. A bit of quite a bit of scoring going on in a Seattle-Austin match, but it's. Over the past couple of games, probably going back to the Texas Cup match against Houston, up until that match, we had a bit of, we hadn't been scoring a whole lot of points. We'd been winning, but keeping, point scoring low. The change kind of happened around, that Houston match. Obviously, Toronto, big point numbers. And then this past weekend, what do you think has been, I guess, what's been the kind of change in approach to see kind of this scoring increase in the past couple of weeks? And the defense continued to play really strong, but also, just kind of that, what has been the key thing, or maybe a couple key things that have been for the scoring increase since that Houston match?
First and foremost, continuity.
Yeah.
Combinations with week on week, kind of playing with the same combinations every week, especially in our backline. Our backline has been pretty healthy over the last month, and I think that's probably the main reason. But also on top of that, I think fundamentally there were some areas of our attack that weren't working, and I thought without scoring too many points, we had a really good attack.
Yeah.
If the try line was the 5-meter line, we'd be winning the comp by 15 points.
That was maybe one of my questions coming up. Like, what's the deal with the 5-meter line, right?
Yeah, but we just couldn't get it over the try line, and whatever it was, whether it was a mental block or whether it was our strategy or lack of clarity, whatever it was, we definitely dedicated a lot of time and effort into cleaning that up a little bit and making it a little bit clearer on what everybody's objectives are, and dedicating just a little bit more time to it. And then also on top of that, there's some personnel that have come in that are probably more attacking minded, and there's probably some personnel that have come out that were more defensive minded. And whilst you said we're still doing a job in defence, I do think that our team started leaking a few more points than what we normally do, and maybe that's a correlation from scoring more points. You see early on in the season, the Gatinis were letting in a lot of points, even though they were scoring a lot of points.
Yeah.
A lot more points, I should say.
Yeah, a lot more points.
Yeah. But their defence has been stout over the last kind of month as well. So I think they've overtaken us as the best defence. So it's a combination of that. Those are the two main things, I think.
It wasn't as if the team was not scoring any points. It seems to be more of a set piece or a first phase attack problem, because in the loose, it was still cutting loose and jumping all over opposition mistakes. I was looking through the stats earlier today, and I was just thinking, was it frustrating from a training ground point of view in that first phase moves didn't seem to be going anywhere, but in loose balls we were jumping all over? And I know Zinni scored like a handful of amazing tries in the loose this season. So it's not like it's not functioning. It just seems to be like maybe the training ground stuff isn't happening quite as effectively as you'd like.
Yeah, potentially. Like we've in the last 3 games we've scored 3 1-inch set piece tries.
Like the one last week.
Yeah.
So the line out deadly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's. That's okay. I don't know if you were breaking up or had something else to say, so I wanted to make sure that you got your words in. So, do you think that what I guess one of the questions that one of the supporters, John Woolley, had was, what are some of the key improvements you've seen from that first game compared to the rest of to now? Like, do you think have been those key improvements? We talk about, maybe some set pieces being a little more effective than they had been earlier in the season. Are there anything else that you think, really kind of tie in, especially with that continuity as well, that have been some of those big improvements?
Yeah, again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but continuity is such a large part of it because we're not learning new moves with new combinations. And that's what it was like for the first 8-9 weeks of the competition. And we never had the same backline in the first 10 weeks, and there was lots of chopping and changing every week. And so now that we're getting, we're keeping people on the field, and we're also getting some quality back to the team. There is some, like for the last couple of weeks, there's some quality players that we're leaving out of the 23-man squad that, like I was looking at our pack last week of, non-starting members in the pack, and that second pack could really go toe-to-toe with any other team in the comp. So, we're getting to the point where we are starting to have to leave the quality players out of the team, which is a healthy problem to have, but a difficult one at the same time.
Yeah, it's a problem that I think Austin's that we've really ever had in the past. We're always at the end of the season, man, we're injuries and mostly just injuries at the end of the season. People are going, oh man, we're all banged up. It seems as though most of our, I'm gonna say quote, knock on wood here, most of our big injuries happened earlier in their season, and now people are starting to get back healthy. Don McKenna was injured, and I know Christian Osberg's still kind of coming back from injury, but it seems as though those things continue to happen, which is, hopefully the Mo Abdominant is one of them. I talked to him the other day, and he was saying that hopefully he's going to be coming back, sooner rather than expected before.
Yeah, I mean, it's a credit to our staff as well, our high-performance staff and our medical staff to get these guys back. It's a war of attrition, this game, and it's a very physical competition. I've got to say that. Like, we come off the field and we're banged up and bruised every week, and I'm always amazed how physical the games are. I think more games than not, we've come out on top in that, and but it takes its toll.
For sure. Alex, I think you had kind of a couple questions talking about sides from the beginning of the season to now.
Yeah. So I mean, you pretty much answered the first question I had, which was going to be, did you have an idea of what your first 15 was going to be at the start of the season? Like you say, there's been personnel changes, trying out different combinations. Was it a case of you just trying things out that you thought would work, or did you have a solid idea of what you wanted the spine of your team to be when you started, and that's just changed over the season?
Yeah, I don't think we were, in terms of like troops on the ground plus injuries, never really got the spine that I was looking for until probably last week.
I was going to say last week, a week and a half.
Yeah,
because I know. I mean, you weren't playing Kurt Morath at fly half, and he seems to have come in the last 2-3 games and just made the jersey his own. That must have made life a little bit easier for you.
Yeah, I think that was at Mac's expense, Mac Mason. And to be fair, again, back to the continuity, I don't know if he ever got that. So I don't know if he really. I think if he was put into 10 right now with the same group, with the same forwards as well, he did just as good a job as Kurt. But we gave Mac a really good go, and we thought it was time for a change when we made it. And now it's Kurt's jersey until he chooses not to be, or if he doesn't perform. Because we've got 2 other quality international 10s in the squad between Mac and Will, and so he knows that there's competition for his jersey. And as you said, he's kind of come in there and done a really good job. But through that period before that, like, we were up against some pretty quality teams, and they were putting us under a lot of pressure. So, all that said and done, Kurt's done a great job, and he's got such a steady head, really calm under pressure. He plays a really good territory game, which probably suits us. And he's been excellent over the last kind of 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And the other question I had was, how does the size and the scale of the USA compare with something like Super Rugby with all the travelling? I think the commentators on the game at the weekend touched on the fact that in the UK you catch a bus everywhere because you're never more than 3 hours away from a match. Have you found it to be a considerable challenge to factor in all the travel and the way that the league schedule has been laid out?
Yeah, I have for sure. I probably underestimated how big this country was for sure. Because I come from a big country as well, and it doesn't. It's almost as big, but the travel doesn't seem to be as immense. So that part has proven to be difficult. But again, we looked at it and thought it was in our best interest to prepare in the game. Most teams are leaving on the Friday for Saturday game. Sometimes you can arrive to your hotel at 12 o'clock at night, and then you've got to get up. And if it's a day game, you're not getting much rest, and then you're straight into your game. And I don't know how you can possibly perform at the best if that's the case. So we pivoted to, if we're playing a Saturday, travel on a Thursday, which means that the team wakes up in a bed that we were playing at, and they get to go and do a captain's run. And so it's just kind of increasing that comfort level for the players and just giving them the best opportunity to perform at their best when it's game time.
Obviously with travel and everything, we also have coming up is the international break, or not international break, but international matches. We do lose a couple players from that. How do you approach kind of these two upcoming? Well, you don't have we have one game, but it's 2 weeks. How do you approach the one game we have coming up, getting close, with this playoff push that we have right now, with key players going away on international duty? Connor Mooneyham, Ruben de Haas is going as well. I was thinking that Will might or might not, depending on if he's healthy, get called up, given AJ McGinty's injury, unfortunately. How do you kind of deal with some players leaving the squad? And you said you had players in reserves who couldn't go up against, an MLR anywhere else. Have you been kind of preparing for that at all?
Yeah, it's not just a couple of guys. We've actually got,
that's right. You've got
Toronto,
Cole. You got Cole and Regan too. Sorry, I forgot the Canadians.
and Marcelo and Chile. So
yeah,
apart from Canada, apart from Toronto, obviously, because they're the only MLR team that kind of sticks to Canada. We've got the strongest representation of internationals within America and Canada, within the Americas, I should say. So, that definitely takes a bit of managing. Thankfully, all those positions, we have people that are fit and healthy to fill in and to step in. And not only step in, but it's kind of exciting they get an opportunity to do that. So, we've still got to get through one more game before that comes around. But I think I'm really happy as a coach that we've been able to produce that many players to do that and represent their country, because that's what we're all about. And then on the flip side of that, it gives other guys opportunity, and it's going to be in the biggest game of our season.
Yeah, right.
And unfortunately, they don't have the same type of representation. I think they're only going to lose 2 players.
I think they lose 2 players for that match, which it's gonna be a big one. We obviously, players have come in throughout this season. We've had new signings. We had one of the questions that came from one of the fans is, was a question about Ruben de Haas, coming on the team. Came on the team, a lot of excitement, but to some people's standards, he hasn't played up to what we thought he would play. What has been kind of the thought process and his style of play, and how you see it, and bringing him on the field as opposed to having Pele or Marcelo when he was here before he went to go down and play with Chile? Again, what's been happening, kind of the thought process with the style and the play of de Haas over the past couple of weeks?
Yeah, well, personally, I've been pretty happy with Rubes. I think he's a great player, and he's defensively he's great. Box kicking, he's world class.
Yeah.
Service wise, from the ruck to the 10 hands, yeah, again world class. But yeah, there was a couple of options on the weekend that he didn't take. I've got one on UK. Yeah, sorry.
Someone tried to photo bomb or Zoom bomb your meeting.
Yeah, it was a lame attempt. I probably should have just waved it off, but all good. Sorry for the interruption.
No, you're good. So it's live. It doesn't. It's all right. We're fine.
Yeah, the thing that prompted his arrival to Austin was the fact that I was going to lose Marcelo for so long, and I'd been chasing Rubes before this opportunity came up. Mm-hmm. I think he's a fantastic player. So, it had been a few weeks before he played a game. When he got to us, it had been 8 to 10 weeks. So he needed a bit of time to find his groove, and he's training hard to be in preparation for these test matches, and then also for his arrival to Saracens.
Yeah. Well, so I guess the question for the people have, like, will he continue to, after the international test matches, will he then continue on to Saracens, or will he be linking back up with us for the last game of the season?
To be confirmed.
To be confirmed. TBD. Stay tuned, friends.
So a question that I had with regards to recruitment was, does the hot weather and the hard grounds in Austin stop you from looking to recruit any Welsh players?
for the Welsh in the group here?
Yeah, we've got a couple of Irishmen here, and they don't seem to bite too much. Why are you looking for a team, Alex?
If you need anyone that's far too slow and not big enough, if you think that there's a place in the side for someone with those properties,
sign up. He's ready to go. Yeah.
Send your details through.
There you go. Send your game highlights through. It'll be good. So. Well, so we also have, these coming weeks is, we're three up on the trot here. We've been playing really well, but these last 3 weeks we're 5 back from Utah, who for some reason or other seem to win every game at the death. Like they just want to make it exciting or some reason. I don't know why. I don't know how other teams can't stop them in the last 3 minutes. But what's kind of your mindset knowing that, going into these next matches, which, San Diego, again, no slouch. That game last week against LA was, they put it to them. It wasn't the prettiest of matches, but they put it to them for a good 75, 80 minutes. A couple things here and there, and it bounced of the ball, and it would have been San Diego's game. But they technically still hunting down a playoff opportunity, albeit a very far shot. But we are 5 back. What's kind of the mindset going into these last couple matches, and what are you what are you looking for from the boys? Obviously besides the win and the hard work, but as we continue on these last matches of the season.
Yeah, it's a really interesting combination of games leading into the playoffs. So the picture is that LA's got a game in hand for everyone else. So they, after their win against San Diego on the weekend, they look pretty comfortable to make the finals.
Yeah.
San Diego now look out of the picture for the finals. So it's really a race between ourselves and Utah for that second spot for the Western Conference. LA play Utah on the final round of the comp.
Yeah.
And if I know DC like I know DC, if he's comfortable in his position on the table, then he'll rest as many players as he can for that game so he can go into the final fresh and ready and still with that number one position. So what that does for my and our mindset is that, well, first of all, we've got to get the job done this week. But then the whole thing is within our power. So if we beat them in the penultimate round of the MLR, then they will have to play all their big dogs against Utah in the final round of the season. So and if they do that, that means that they have to win the game to maintain their number one position, and so on and so on. So in my head, it's all within our control. All we've got to do is win this week, go to LA, beat them. If we do, put the pressure on them to then beat Utah the week after, and then we need to get the job done against DC. So whilst after Utah beat New York on the weekend, which I wasn't expecting, I was a little bit dejected. When I really thought about it.
We weren't expecting it either as we were watching it with a minute left to play or whatever it was left. So, yeah.
Yeah, I got to give Utah credit, though. They do not give up. They have no quit in them, and they're a great side. They are a great side.
For sure.
They seem like the team's destiny this year, but hopefully we can spoil the party there, and in the last 5 weeks, maybe we can be team destiny.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's good to hear that. I mean, obviously, we're all hoping for 12 points out of 12, get bonus point in each match, and hopefully who knows? Maybe obviously we're going to be rooting for our Texas brethren over there in Houston to pull up an upset with Houston. You never know. It could happen. Like MLR, the parity, like any team can beat anybody on any given day is what I has always said. Doesn't matter who you are. So, but yeah, that's good. A couple questions from other fans that we've had that I kind of wanted to ask you, coming from the Finches family, Mallory, Russell, Joaquin, and like all of them, which diehard AG fans. So hello to all of you if you're watching right now. I hope you are. I can't see the Facebook or YouTube if you're on one of those pages. Russell's question was kind of going back to before the season, the biggest deciding factor helping you and your decision to coach the AGs. What was that?
Thanks, Russell, for your question, and to all the Finches. The opportunity to be a head coach of a professional team and do that in the biggest sports market in the world that I've always been attracted to. And then on top of that, like, I can kind of pull all the strings here. The buck does stop with me, but I've got complete control of the atmosphere and the environment that I create. So lots of other head coaches around the world are not able to say that. So I quite enjoy that part of it. And the next 3 weeks will kind of determine whether we were successful or not. But I've loved this journey, and I love the process of that. And, whether we do or we don't, I want to be here for a long time because I do love Austin. I do love the people within the organisation, and I think there's a huge potential within that city and state to grow the game of rugby and to also create a legacy of success. Yeah,
I think that dovetails into one of your questions that you had, Alex. I think on your list that I'm looking at right now.
I was thinking of a couple, but the first thing I'd like to ask is, so last season, Austin only won one game. We took the Texan Cup and we smacked Houston around by a point in the last minute, if I remember. What were your goals? What were your goals for this season? What were your ambitions? Did you expect to be with your destiny in your own hands, approaching the playoffs?
Yeah, I did expect that. So my expectations were to make the conference finals and then give yourself a chance to win the finals from there. What was the first part of the question?
What were your aims, considering that Austin didn't have a great season last time out, which leads on to my next question. A hypothetical situation: Austin make the playoffs, make the final, and suddenly you've got 50,000 Texans looking to watch Austin play next season. Have you had any conversations about moving up to bigger stadia?
Q2.
Yeah, well, Q2 only gives us halfway to that 50,000. So, but I'll take Q2. not even halfway for that.
I don't know about 50,000, but I think 10 to 15 to 20,000 would potentially be achievable. It would be great to we have been in discussions with Q2, but it's hard for them because they've only just had their first game on the field, and I think we've had preliminary chats with them, but nothing too in depth. And it was always going to be hard this season because they hadn't played on it and they didn't want to rip up the turf. I'm skeptical as it is because, through history, soccer stadiums hate rugby teams playing on them. So,
and if I won't lie, if you watch that match, that turf did not even survive that first match. Like it was, we commented on it. If it got tore up by a soccer match, it was going to be shredded by a rugby match.
Yeah, look, to answer your question though, our upper management is working around the clock to try and find solutions for what we're talking about. In saying that, Bold Stadium has been a great venue for us.
It's been fantastic.
Ultimately, it is a little bit far away from downtown, or I live the other side of downtown, so it is a long way to get there. But once you're there, it's something special. Like it's really, really a great venue. When you get there, when you rock up to the game, or when we rock up to the game at like 5:30, 5 o'clock, like it's magical. Like it's such a good environment, sun setting. It's a really good atmosphere. There's a band playing. I'd love to go watch a game there and not be the head coach of it because I could sit back and down 8 beers quite easily and enjoy.
We're hoping that doesn't happen anytime soon. Just to put that out there, we don't want that to. You can't watch a game from the stands yet. Sorry. What's been one of the questions we had is what's been kind of one of the biggest learning points from this first year in American rugby? I mean, you've been in Australia, you've been in Japan, you've coached in both places, and now that you've come to America in this first year, what's been your biggest learning? I guess maybe experience. What's been the biggest point that hopefully that you can take into season 2?
Yeah, great question. I think
that's just confirming you are sticking around for the long term for more than one season. So I just want to throw that out there too.
Yep. Well, you're definitely going to see me next year.
Yep.
Sure.
Okay. Good. Everybody, we can rest assured that smiling face will be back on, back on the podcast again next year.
Yeah, I think what I've learned this competition has grown exponentially from what it was season 1, even since last season. There are 12 gritty teams in both in each conference, 6 in each, but there's no confirmed W in the schedule. Like it's a real grind, and there's such parity within this competition, and there's great players and there's great coaches, and they're so supportive of one another. That aside, my point is that you don't have a week to exhale.
Yeah.
It's like you're going, you're on. You've got to bring your A game on Monday. You got to win Monday to Friday to get the formula for Saturday. And going into next season, I will know that. I didn't know what to expect at the start of it. But great teams, great coaches, great players.
That's awesome. Another question from the Finch's family. We kind of talked about this. We had a biggest accomplishment. What do you think have been the biggest struggles for the team this year? This comes from Mallory. She was wanting to know, like, we talked about big accomplishments, and obviously hopefully some big accomplishments still to happen with some playoff pushes. But what do you think have been some of the biggest struggles for you all this year as an organization?
Yeah, well, I won't talk any more about it, but injuries, obviously, especially early in the season. And then just navigating all the little things, like the space that we're in, it's great and functional, but it's probably not big enough for the amount of players and staff that we now have. And we probably need to find an alternative, but that's in the process. And then it would be great to own our own field to train on. We're really a tenant at at the Round Rock Multi-Purpose Complex, which they're great hosts, but it's hard when you're training on AstroTurf. I'd much prefer to train on grass. Like I've had 4 injuries this year with one calf just because of the AstroTurf.
That was literally my next question: is do you feel as though the AstroTurf and where you train has played, maybe not wreaked havoc, but is given to some of the injuries and some of the issues then going and playing on stadiums that are all grass?
Yeah, I do. I don't think the grass part of it comes into it, but I think the fact that we train on AstroTurf had an effect on how many soft tissue injuries we've had within hamstrings and calf muscles. So, that's why I would like to find our own field that is grass and that we can mark out and have goalposts on. And because if you really take a deep dive into what we do every day and every week, and we're trying to provide the guys with a world-class facility and a world-class support staff, and we've made huge strides to do that this year. But it would be good to have more control over our field.
Yeah, that's good. Sam, it's been almost 1 year since you and Mark made the flight over from not quite a year. We're getting closer and closer. One of the questions from Joaquin is, what do you miss most from back home, having freshly moved to Texas for almost a year now? What's the one thing you miss from being back home?
No, it's only been 6 months.
Has it really? I thought, man, that feels like it's been longer.
We landed January 4th.
Oh man, see what I thought it had been a year. It shows how long like the year of COVID was for me. Like I didn't even think that year existed, and that's probably why. It's like everybody's like, "Oh yeah, we did that last year." I was like, "That was actually 2 years ago," but last year doesn't count because of COVID. So.
Somewhere in the background, a researcher is getting fired.
Yeah, right. Whatever. And by that researcher, that is probably me, since we don't have researchers for this show. Anyway, so okay, 6 months you've been gone. What do you miss the most about Australia?
Well, it's been nice to be here in California and see beaches. Like I might have said it on the last podcast I was with you, but the ocean is definitely my anchor, and it's really nice to see that again. And there's nice bodies of water in Austin, but there's no ocean. So
that's not an ocean.
But that's probably the main thing that I miss. You can get good coffees in Austin, and you can get good coffees in Oxnard, but they're hard to find. And in Australia, there's probably on every corner. So it'd probably be the coffee.
Yeah, the coffee. I will agree with you on that one. Coffee for sure.
So you've been doing well in terms of being able to call up local players from the Austin area to help bolster out the squad. I wanted to ask how you found the local scene compares to something like the Manly versus Rats competitive scene that you'd know from back home.
Yeah. To be fair, because of COVID, we're only really kind of 4 to 6 weeks out of COVID restrictions internally within us. So I didn't really get to experience the local scene. I haven't seen a Huns Blacks match. I've held a coaching seminar for all the Austin coaches if they wanted to come, which was really good and well attended. But I haven't actually seen the scene yet, which is tough. I know there's lots of good players here, and I'm just working currently off recommendations of players here at the team or coaches at those teams. So that's all I've been working with, and I've been pleasantly surprised with those recommendations and the quality of player that have come in and the quality of human that's come into the doors, because that's probably my first prerequisite of recruitment is character. And all really good guys and all have contributed to the environment.
That's awesome.
Okay, and another, I was speaking to some people and a question that came forward. Somebody wanted me to ask you whether you could share an anecdote about how Steve Beaver Menzies got on with his adventure in the strange and wonderful world of rah-rah rugby.
What a great question. It's an interesting one. So Steve Beaver Menzies, we played together at Mountie in the Mountie Seagulls in League, and he is, along with Mark Gerard, my assistant coach, he is my best friend, and the three of us are really tight. And I've always been on him about playing rugby, but he played rugby at school. He really liked rugby. His stepdad or dad, which he probably considers him, coached me when I was playing Clubland, and I coached Beaver's brother at rugby because he loves rugby more than me. So there's a lot of connections there. And then my first real hands-on with Beaver to get into rugby was he accepted an invitation to come to Hong Kong with the Australian Wallaby Classics team, and we were playing in a tennis tournament over there. Before we went to that tournament the week before, he played in a trial match with me, Mark, and his brother for the Rats in a 5th grade game against North Sydney. And it was just a bit of fun. But the players from that other team, they just got 1,000 photos with him. They loved playing footy against him, and he scored 3 tries, as you'd imagine. And then we went to Hong Kong together, and he's just the people's champ. Everyone loves him. And even some guys here in this team, like Whopper, cannot wait to get on a FaceTime with him because he's just one of his heroes. So that's it. That's how I got introduced to or involved in rugby.
Wonderful. For those who probably might not be familiar, did he finish the top try scoring forward in Rugby League when he ended his career?
Yes.
The guy was a legend.
Yes,
so but thanks for sharing that. Very entertaining.
By the way, we here on the podcast we do cover Rugby League as it pertains to Austin, considering we almost had a team. That was a very interesting situation. I don't know. We'll see. And we talked with Mac Mason and we talked with McLean, and they're both Rugby League guys. I said it basically when you and I first met, Sam. Like, are you going to have kind of the Rugby League style defense where you're rushing up and playing hard nosed and in your face? And the answer, if you've watched 80 matches, yes. Like, there's a reason we have the number 1 defense, and I'm attributing it to the hard work, but also just kind of playing that rush style defense that you see a lot in Rugby League and NRL. So I know. Yeah.
That rush defense doesn't just happen, Dustin. Like, there is a lot of work in.
Oh no! I know. Wait, you mean you magically just don't snap your fingers and everything happens? Yeah. It just happens. The guys just run up and make every tackle.
Bryce will sort it out.
They got it.
Bryce deal with it.
Yeah, McLean, go make a tackle. You're fine. Next question comes from your fellow countryman, Mr. Dan Power. How does it feel being voted MLR's sexiest coach in 2021? I didn't even know that was I didn't know that's a thing. Sorry, Dan, that must have snuck in there. Wrong. Wrong question there. I said I
wasn't aware of that. That does seem well.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, I didn't know it was a category, but I think Stephen Brett at Atlanta's got me covered.
Yeah, he's a sharp dude. I my comment. I'm sure your wife would probably agree with Mr. Dan Power there. Funny that we say your wife. The next question actually comes from her. So, do you think that Sam is capable of blocking out a period each evening where he doesn't answer his phone to Mike Sheehan, who loves to chat, and also not answer emails during this period? Sam, do you wish to comment on that?
Is this a question or a statement?
This is. I think it's kind of both. I think it's
like an order.
It's that wife statement that when the wife says, "Honey, do you think that you should maybe not do this right now? Like, be on your phone." I get it all the time. It's maybe answer offline and chat with her about that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I can answer it online. She's justified in embarrassing me on this podcast by asking that question because I think every head coach does kind of get lost in their work a little bit, and I probably have worked a lot more hours than I have previously that she's used to. So it's an adjustment for her, but also I probably need to make a little bit more time for her and the kids.
Well, we talked about it in the last podcast, and you said your family goes with you everywhere. It seems as though through social media posts and actually meeting them at the game, they're absolutely. I finally got to actually sit down and have a conversation with both your wife and Mark's wife after chatting with them on various social media and just seeing everything going on. It seemed as though the families are having a good time and enjoying being here. So hopefully that's true, and hopefully you guys can speak to that and are enjoying being here in Texas.
They are having a good time. I think fundamentally as a family, no matter where you put us, we're going to have fun. But Texas and Austin it's been amazing for our family anyway, and I know Mark's is really enjoying it too. They've just somehow got this magical group of friends within our neighborhood that became very close very quickly. And
big rugby supporters now, yeah?
Big rugby supporters, yeah. You'd see them at the games. They just really are next level supportive, but also friendly. And we've really enjoyed ourselves in our little community because of the southern hospitality that they've outreached, but also opening their doors to our family. So that's made time a lot easier. So and definitely my wives and our wives, because to drop into a friendship group like that quickly, it's pretty rare. And, kids as well. They've just got kids every afternoon come knocking on the door. Can Lola play? Can Scarlett play? Like, it's just next level. So they're having a ball. Like, they are really living the best life. They'll fly out to San Diego to watch the game, stay there a couple of nights, and then we'll get up to LA and check all that out. I've never been. This is my first time on the West Coast, really. So they're looking forward to that. And they could not complain. They never would, but they could not complain for the fantasy world we're living in at the moment.
Fantasy, I like that. You get to explore a lot in the U.S. There's everything, that's for sure. One of the other questions that you haven't asked yet, Alex, but I'm going to ask: is it hard for the team dietitians to keep the players away from the barbecue joints right now? I mean, obviously with COVID, they're staying away, but have you been sneaking? Have you or anybody else on the team been sneaking down to get some barbecue recently?
I don't know if that's sneaky, and I don't know if there's a barbecue eating epidemic, but we don't have the budget for a dietitian.
I'll tell you what. Once the season's over, you let us know. We'll get some barbecue down here, and we'll take you out to. I can go to 2 streets and you like 3 or 4 barbecue places, and then you can go home and sleep for 3 days. I am mad for brisket. I dream about brisket, and I'm still searching for the perfect one. Oh, we got to drive south to. In my opinion, you got to drive south to. Well, eventually it'll be Buda. So.
Oh really?
Salt Lick.
You're going to say Lockhart?
Valentina's. Valentina's is my favorite barbecue right now. But Lockhart, Snow's barbecue.
Yeah, I've been to Valentina's to sample. I think maybe on one of your recommendations or Instagrams. I'm not sure, but the wait for the food was too long. I was too hungry.
That's the problem with barbecue. Is you have to come and bring a picnic table just to sit at and wait to go get barbecue. So, the things they did pre-orders online, and there
we just didn't know that at the time. So
next time, we learn, like we all learn these things. So, hey, Sam, it's we're coming up here on about an hour of chatting with you. I really appreciate you coming on. Last questions here for me is just as we're going forward. What are and you see the growth of the sport, what do you imagine, put yourself in the shoes, 3 years from now, what do you see Austin as a rugby community? What do you want to see from that community, from both fans and play and just the organization that you're building right now with everybody behind the scenes? Because obviously it's not just, what's on the field and you as a coach, there's a whole different part of the organization. What do you envision that being, here in 3 to 5 years?
Yeah. Before I do that, which will lean onto this, is I didn't really answer one of Alex's questions about humble beginnings and all the rest of it. So the record for the team here, for the elite, for the herd, for the AGs before we got here was 4-26 and 1, or 4-1-26.
Yeah,
we only had 4 victories in 31 games, and now we've doubled that or tripled that because we've got 8 wins. So my expectations were to have this type of season and probably a couple more wins, and we did let a few slip. I'm beating myself up about that New England. I was at New England when we were leading 18-5 with 30 to go. We really kind of messed that one up. And the last time we played San Diego at home, we threw an overthrow, and the rest was history. And there was a couple others that we really let slip. But I think we got one against the Toss against Atlanta. But if we did beat New England, and then if we did beat Old Glory in the last round, then we would have made Eastern Conference our B word. So
owned them, I think is the word you were looking for.
We would have owned them. And so that's where my expectations were. now we've got to dig ourselves out of a little hole. All we've got to do is put ourselves in the chance to get into the finals. And if we win this week and we beat LA, then we'll do that. So I like that about it. Now back to your question, Dustin, about what are my expectations. I think a huge part of how successful rugby is depends on the USA World Cup bid for 2027.
Yeah.
If USA is successful in that, this sport will change within this country like that. There'll be so much more resources and funds available for it. And then on top of that, like behind the scenes, our organisation, the Austin Gilgronians, sorry about the motorbike in the background there.
They're fine. You're sitting outside in the sunshine right now, so it's like, well, I guess we'll deal with it.
Yeah. Within the organisation, they want to make the match day experience and everything about this organisation world class. And that's what they've tried to do. And they've done a really good job with that because the festival atmosphere that's at Bold Stadium when we play is amazing. And the entertainment's been good from our point of view. But then the fight entertainment with the bands and the fireworks and everything. So they've done a really good job of that. But I think for us to really grow as a sport, the MLR has to become popular, part of pop culture. And you can see with the MLS where they are right now. I think we're tracking on the same trajectory as them, but I think we're going to accelerate our popularity a little bit faster. So I think within that, if the MLR as a competition becomes popular, again, that's another thing that will just increase our exposure to the general public. And then when we've got that, all it is about exposure, because I'm pushing this team and this sport in Austin like nobody's business. And what I find is nobody knows about the AGs, but everybody has a connection to rugby.
Yeah.
One way or another. Whether it's a crazy uncle that played it in England, or whether it's a cousin that's always trying to get them to come play their game. So everybody has some type of story about rugby. So they know about it. And when you say rugby, a smile comes across their face because of the
crazy uncle.
Whatever it is, that is attached to rugby. So all we have to do is get greater exposure to the public and make the game a little bit more accessible to them, because I know that once we get people to the games, they stay and they bring a friend. And all we've got to do is just accelerate that a little bit faster than what we have. But I think credit to my up management and my backroom staff for making that game day such a great experience.
Yeah, for sure. We saw it throughout the season, as more and more people, got vaccinated and started coming out to matches, and, the decreased in the social distancing that we had, but also more fans came at the beginning of the season that started liking it, got more media exposure out into the general public, that they brought friends, and they're like, oh, this is great. We'll come out and do this, and we'll come out and do this. And you see it in the last game when you have, a couple thousand people standing up and just, waving towels in the air and going crazy and fireworks going off. It really, going back to, season 1, season 2, or like, hey, like 200 people at the game. Oh, that's cool. To thousands of people at the game now. That I look forward to the day where we sell out the stadium and there's not a seat empty all the way around on the 3 sides of the stands, and people are sitting 2 or 3 deep watching, in the little garden area there at Bold Stadium. So it's lofty ambitions, and but not as lofty as you would think. Like, just a little bit of exposure. I think we're right around the corner from doing that. Real quick, Matt Osberg said, I will slap a brisket on the smoker anytime you want. There you go. I can confirm.
Thanks,
Matt did actually have a very nice brisket at the tailgate party. So, and that was just a small one. So I can only imagine what they do when they have the full brisket out there. So good rugby family there.
Well, thank you for that. It's a very kind gesture, and I'll take you up on it.
There you go. Yeah, right. Just give him a call right after this. So, hey, Sam, really appreciate you taking the time to, obviously you're out on the West Coast, you're, doing some training, probably in between stuff right now, but, since you are busy coach and you are working a lot, we want to give you the time to get back and do what you got to do so you can keep preparing the boys for this coming match. For those that want to watch the match, it is on KBVO this week, 9 o'clock. It's a late game here. It's a 7 o'clock game over there on the West Coast, but 9 o'clock here. The watch party is at Little Woodrose at Tech Ridge. That's another great thing. There's watch parties are happening all over Austin. It's not just the same location downtown every time. We're spacing it out so people get to go watch everywhere else. But really appreciate that. Sam, any last words from you? Anything you'd like to let everybody know, and or just say that we haven't covered in the last hour?
Just that the people that are probably listening to this podcast are already supporters of the team. I'm pretty aware of that. So I think that gives me a platform to just thank those people, because their support for the team is noticed and welcomed, and the players just love playing at home, and it's because of the support that you guys have shown. So that's to the supporters, but then to you guys, Dustin and Alex and the other Alex.
Alex, who's not, who couldn't, he had to work during the daytime. I own my own business, so I can take off whenever I want.
Dustin, I'm aware, because I've been trying to get Alex to come down and train with us and potentially play with us, but he's just too busy. So,
oh man,
he's a humble guy. He's probably keeping that to himself, but he's training in a new job, and he just doesn't have the time. Hopefully after the bye. So I'd even be keen for that, because he's a really good rugby player. I'd love to have him part of the group, but he's just been too busy at the moment. So yeah, to you guys, thank you so much for flying the flag for us and doing your duty and exposing again, just lending that platform to us to just let people know how ambitious we are, but also just an organisation full of good people and playing a great sport.
For sure. Alex, any last words?
Just one final thing. With the press release when you announced Lockie McCaffrey's signing, you mentioned that he was the right person to come in and tell his team it's not as good as it thinks it is. It can be better. How good does this team think it is?
Yeah, I don't have the answer to that. I think it's a team that has overexceeded their expectations, not mine, but theirs probably. So I think the message behind that message was that we could be getting complacent because we might think that we've already done enough. And Lockie's a guy that has achieved great things in his own right and had success wherever he goes. And he can probably come here with different eyes. He's been watching our training. He's been part of the group pretty much the whole year, but he had some really bad visa issues, unfortunately. I wish he could have been here 8-10 weeks ago, which would have been really, really good. But he's finally here, and first training session, he was calling guys out for missing roles when those guys have been doing those roles for the last 14 weeks, and he just got here. So he's a guy that holds people to a standard, a certain standard, and what that also does, it empowers our other leaders to kind of see him do that, and then they start pushing standards a little bit more as well. So, look, we're probably like 5 more points on the ladder, but we've done a really good job to be here. So we've positioned ourselves nicely. And as I said, we're in our own control. So all we've got to do is go get the job done on Saturday, and then again we can have an exhale because we're a week off. Take some moments away, enjoy some time with your family, but then come back ready to go because we've got a big game against LA the week after.
Yeah, absolutely. We look forward to it. We look forward to those last few matches. Matt Zappa, I see you. I see your comments. Matt Zappa just commented. You were saying you appreciate the fans and stuff, but I think Matt speaks for all of us and saying we appreciate you. We appreciate the new energy that you've brought to the organization, both you and Mark, and just again, I think that family style, that family approach, the inclusiveness of bringing everybody in has really impacted. Definitely impacted the supporters who have been here since that first year, and even beyond. But also anybody that comes into the fold now, welcomed with open arms. And I think that's something to be commended on, and I think that approach is definitely going to help grow the sport here in Austin and beyond as we continue to branch out and bring in people from San Antonio and take people away from Dallas and take and Houston and stuff too. So that's the goal, right? Like the Cowboys, they've got people everywhere, but that's going to be Austin, I think.
Yeah.
So we continue to do that.
Just on that point, Dustin, around I can't say too much, but just stay tuned, watch your space. You will get access to seeing a lot more soon, but I can't say any more than that.
Is it the Sam Harris documentary? Is it the 30 for 30? No, that's good. We appreciate that. We appreciate all the stuff that's been going on. Man, can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day again today. Really can't. It's good to always chat with you. Good to get some time and sit down and have a conversation for an hour about a variety of things. Also, you should probably just go chat with your wife a little bit about the time thing too. Don't want you to forget that one. She did laugh in the comment section on that as well. Hey, Alex, thanks for coming on and joining us again. Big thanks to Sam Harris. Don't forget, 9 o'clock this Saturday, San Diego and Austin. It's a big one for us. Get out, watch it wherever you can, cheer the boys on. Looking forward to it. Lineups haven't been announced yet, but hopefully they will be here soon. Look forward to seeing what that looks like and the guys coming out. Sam, big thanks to you. And of course, if you want to buy any of this nice Gilgroniak gear, if you want to be a Gilgroniak, which I did see a couple T-shirts in the crowd at the last game, which I thought was awesome. I appreciated that. Austin Rugby supporters under the rugbyshop.com. So you go over there, guys. Always a pleasure. Thanks again. Until next time, catch you on the pitch.